Our guest this afternoon is someone who has been willingly or unwillingly a constant source of inspiration for record collectors, DJs, music fans around the world. He's living in The Hague, in the Netherlands. And yeah, over the years he started record labels, internet radio stations, infamous mixtapes, and had even one or the other minor hit. And the man by the name of IF, please give him a very warm welcome. Yeah, so we heard a lot about techno today, right? And about its aesthetic and the independent approach, how to put out records and all these things. So maybe you can talk a little bit about your view of this thing called techno.
Techno died for me half 90s, like the late 90s, 96, 97. We were heavily involved in techno and acid ever since 1991 with Unit Moebius, the Acid Planet parties. This was all local in The Hague, in squads. And this was also the beginning of our do-it-yourself thing, very much inspired by underground resistance. We were huge fans of underground resistance, and we saw them having a large output of records. And we thought we can do that too.
Maybe you can just explain briefly what underground resistance are or were for people who never heard of them.
That's silly if you never heard from Underground Resistance, but this is the organization in Detroit led by Mad Mike. And for me, they more or less invented the techno thing, because techno also means the do-it-yourself attitude. Make your own music, release your own records, sell your own records, throw your own parties. That's techno for me.
And yeah, Unit Moebius, Bunker, The Hague, you talked about squatting, so maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that, what the scene was like.
I did a record shop in The Hague in late 92. I met Guy from Bunker and Jan from Unit Moebius. I never heard from the guys, and they were looking for a distributor for the Bunker records. I listened to the stuff and I was immediately impressed by the minimal sounds. This was already a minimal thing, no effort made to put in a lot of instruments, and because we didn't have a lot of instruments. Where should I start? I was a DJ. I had a record shop. I imported and exported records. Then Guy came in with the Bunker stuff and opened like really a world for me with underground parties in squats and things. I came from a total different direction. I was very much into Chicago house and Detroit techno. And I had no idea that there was like a scene in the Netherlands about electronic music. I heard from Speedy J, who was doing things for +8, but this was like wow, far away. And this came into reach. I was invited to do mixes in the squads, and this is how it all started. I made my own music in '93. I'm that nervous, by the way. I never do lectures. I just DJ and produce in bunkers and studios and stuff. But
no need to be.
Apart from this, nevertheless, this was how it started. The Hague underground scene started in 1992 when me and Bunker met.
So maybe we can hear something
Sure.
out of that phase. And they're all kind people. No need to be.
No,
nervous.
I know. I won't be eaten today. I don't have any Bunker records with me, but I can play one of my first records, which was no, I don't have acid with me at all, because these days are long gone. but I can play you one very frustrated record. Hold on a second, I don't want to play ABBA for you. Yes. Here we go. Here it comes. Yes.
This sound kind of appealed to a squatting scene. I mean, you would think normally all they listen to is punk music, or to put it in a box.
No, but because I even managed to introduce Italo disco in the squat scene. It was just a matter of knowing things and not knowing. There was also a lot of music I never heard of. They introduced me with minimal wave, for instance. I wasn't totally into that, but it got pretty big for me personally. It had the same attitude, very punky, very obscure. The best songs only came out on tape, never, or 7 inches. Also, never large record deals or distribution. Just small networks where people made music in studios, distributed their own stuff, and we did exactly the same thing with electronic music.
So here we are with the do-it-yourself thing again.
There was no other way because nobody liked our music. So we were forced to do this, and we were lucky that I just started up a distribution and had some contacts for selling records. So this is how it started. If one label goes, then another label comes, and soon we had our own tiny little imperium.
So how did you do it back in the days before the golden age of the sending links around to have files downloaded?
Telephone, huge telephone bills, playing records on the telephone. And how many? That was the only way to do it, or send promos.
And so you actually also got in touch with the person on the other end of the phone line, right?
I think it was like people I talked to. Yeah.
To each other?
Yes.
No, I meant because you said, like, for you it came like this wave all of a sudden from all corners around the world.
Yeah, it happened really fast at that moment. I think this was the way music turned. You know, I'm sure you have heard it before, turn around the major industry, because they were never interested in something else, something different, something they thought they couldn't sell. But later on, of course, when techno was established, then came the big record deals, and that meant also the end of techno.
That's why you said in 95, 96 it kind of died for you?
Yeah, because, but also the parties, we noticed that half of the people came for the music we played and for this thing we did, and the other half came for the drugs. And well, the half that came for the music is still around, and the other half is either dead
in
or
rehab?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And there's another track you wanted us to play, right?
Yeah, also from Part of Dead Girl. This was, for me, a very important track. Lots of anger and frustration, and let me look up which track it is. It's called Superman. I'm not sure if you are familiar with it. But this came also from the Portrait of a Dead Girl series. And I got lucky that like Disco B really liked the songs when we played in Munich. Otherwise, probably it would have must have been something.
So whose voice is on there?
That's my voice, talking to a headphone through a Boss effect. Synthesizer's Pro 1 and the drum machine is 808.
And you said major labels weren't interested in that kind of stuff, but shortly after this, you did a track. That's the other one we should listen to.
I did a few more tracks in between, also under a different alias and working together with some people. We did the brothers Fuck, Lonnie and Melvin, and I think that was it, the Murder Capital series. And yeah, then came this super hit. Stand by. I actually did not deal with it. I just ignored most of it. But then again, it also saved my ass because we were going bankrupt again due to problems and shit. And it was a good deal, so we survived again.
Okay, but other people would have taken advantage of something like that, right? And
Advantage?
trying to make another Space Invaders and another Space Invaders and maybe another one.
Okay, yeah, this was the album deals that I got offered at a certain point, but I'm a bit allergic for things that you have to do in a certain time. I can't function really well. I really need this freedom to either make an album or not make an album, and because I know myself, you know, and suddenly I'm fed up with things, and I'm gonna do something else or another sound or another project. This is not good for my night rest.
And when was the last time you made music then?
2003.
Because you were occupied with another project.
Yeah,
right?
I started December 2002, the Cybernet Broadcasting System, the CBS internet radio station, where this was actually, radio was something I have always been doing in my musical career, and even when it was not a career. Pirate stations in The Hague and Rotterdam. I was always DJing for those and sometimes involved. We put a transmitter in an elevator shaft and a tiny little transmitter in somebody's house, so that if police comes, they only get like the large transmitter and not the people behind it and stuff. And we were really fanatic with making mixes and doing radio shows locally.
So you played that kind of stuff also?
Yeah, we played everything from disco, Italo, electro, acid, Chicago. We have always been playing this kind of stuff. And due to internet, it was suddenly possible to do really cheap radio station, and people could tune in worldwide. And that was the most amazing thing about it, because you were not making radio anymore for just your neighbors or just the street. The entire world could tune in, and it actually worked very well.
So and it also built quite a community around it, right?
Yeah, there was like, I never expect that to happen, by the way, because my thing was just radio, getting the music out. 1 minute and not streamed is like I consider that a loss, because it's very important that this music is always available if you want it, you know, and in the form of radio, 24/7. There came a forum, there came like almost a cult around it. We did parties in Rotterdam, because this is the best place in Holland to do parties, very central, very cultural. And it got totally out of hand. And earlier this year, I stopped the radio station because it was at its max. It was doing actually well, but the future didn't look really bright. The concept was also its limitation, and sometimes you have to destroy something in order to be able to continue. And there's a new radio station coming.
Yeah, and the name of the new radio station is?
Intergalactic FM.
And yeah, but why were you dissatisfied with it then? Was it a concept from the start to say, okay, I'm doing a radio station for just like this short period of time, and then? No.
It started more or less as a joke, and also the name CBS was like a parody on the major CBS, the All-Seeing Eye, and we had the All-Seeing UFO. We put like all these types of music in one stream, from minimal wave to soundtracks and space and acid and Italo and disco, and that was also its limitation, because most of our listeners are at work listening, and sometimes it's really a big problem to switch in styles if you are listening. For me, it's no problem. I can listen to anything any minute. But the switch from like obscure soundtracks to Italo disco, and from Italo disco to wave, was was getting too much. That there was a restriction. So the new station will be divided in 3 streams, and with plenty of variation per stream. But at least you can choose what is your taste.
And how are these 3 streams separated then?
Channel 1 is the West Coast sound of Holland. This is basically everybody involved and around the Hague electronic music scene, but that also crosses the border. Clone Records is involved, Rush Hour Records is involved, the Hot Mix Bunker crew is of course involved. Boomcat from England is already involved. Stefan Robbers from Evolute will do a show. We got plenty of people who exploit labels and have like a solid musical background. We want to give airtime. Radio number 2, IFM2 is the Dream Machine, soundtracks, space, obscure, wave, acid, at designated times. Dreams and nightmares. And IFM3 is classics, disco, Italo,
And this gives you more satisfaction than sitting in a studio and trying to make music? Because I guess it's pretty time consuming, right, to run such a thing.
Yes, it's extremely time consuming, but I have plenty of time. Well, I got a bit, I lost a bit interest in producing music, but also due to practical problems. I couldn't make noise at the place where I live because I moved, and I couldn't produce. If I even looked at the 808, the neighbors were already complaining. And radio is pretty practical. You can do that very anonymous, unless you start screaming in the mic. But
But you could have, for instance, rented a studio space or something.
There was no funds for that. But the good news is we found a space finally deep down underground where we can make 24/7 noise. So the production studio will be built up again. And the radio studio will go there too. Lots of live action and phone-ins and contests. I think it's going to be good.
And yeah, you mentioned Italo now a few times, and you did like pretty infamous and famous mix CD called Mixed Up in the Hague, Volume 1. Right. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because actually there's not too much or not too many Italo tracks on there, right? But it gets like quoted every time for being responsible for the revival of that kind of sound.
Well, it's like that triggered also the CBS, the radio station, because it had a large impact, this CD, and it was actually a demo CD for my DJ sets. I thought maybe it's a good idea to do a demo CD because there was like a lot of confusion about what I played. Lots of people still thought I was in my acid trip doing a loud, nasty, monotone Beverly Hills 808 303 acid, but I didn't do that for years, and I played lots of old music and house and Chicago and blah blah, all this stuff, but not so hard anymore. That's why I made a demo CD, and this got a bit out of hand.
And do you have something with you that was on that CD or something similar?
No, I got plenty of classics with me. Stand by. Yeah, I actually got something. This is not from the Mixed Up in the Hague, but it is one of my later favorites. I didn't know the track at the time. I think I destroyed the CD player. No, I didn't. This is, of course, from... Yeah, and Italy has been very important for dance music in general, especially in the 80s. Italo was not just cheesy stuff. There has been also very important electronical things. Also in the 70s, Claudio Simonetti, who did also a lot of soundtracks. Easygoing was huge in the disco scene in the early 80s.
So, yeah, maybe you could elaborate a bit more about this fascination with Italo disco. I mean, you just talked about the lyrics.
Right, but I really love melody, bass line, and sexiness in tracks. and this is a thing that I miss often in modern music. I hear it sometimes in stuff from Omar S. and Theo Parrish. I'm a big fan of both, and they can accomplish with minimal efforts something really warm and straightforward and honest, and something that really stands and that you remember the next time you hear it. It has character. Lots of modern music doesn't have character and no personality, and I personally miss that a little bit. It doesn't have to be all cold and stripped and druggy. But that's me talking.
Yeah, but why do you think it is like that? Like the
I
lack
don't know.
of personality?
Yeah, but also maybe lack of talent. It's so easy to make a record nowadays, and that is a good thing. Everybody can make music, but the bad thing is that music has been devaluated more or less. A lot of things you hear nowadays sound like somebody's first record, and it will always stay like somebody's first record. I mean, I'm not even gonna play you my first record because I think it's awful. There's nothing in it. It's just, but you're so enthusiastic. I understand the feeling, like, wow, I did this and I pushed buttons and this is coming out of it. You know, it takes a while. It always also took for me a while as a music maker to get like in depth of how synthesizers worked, how you record a track, and all the problems you encounter. You know, if you want to lay down a good mix, you don't do that in like 30 minutes as in the old days with the acid tracks. If the VU meters didn't move anymore, we started recording. That was then.
So it was a completely live take thing.
Yeah, more or less, yes.
And do you think then we need more filters?
Filters?
Not like in Filter House, but
we need
like
more bass lines, sexy bass lines, and good strings. You know, you don't need an orchestra. You can still do it by yourself, all alone in your studio. But what's wrong with a deep, funky bass? I'm a sucker for a good bass.
Yeah, but I didn't mean a filter like as a technical thing, but like music filters, you know, like because you said too much is coming out.
A music dictator, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's a good thing. No, I don't think that's a good thing. But you can be a bit more critical for yourself, and also I think this initiative as the Academy are very good initiatives because. You never stop learning in recording music. I've been here a day and I've seen so many things that I didn't even know that existed. So you're never ready when you are a producer, and it's good to listen to other people's experiences and try to put as much effort in it as you can. At least I did that myself later. Worked with Intergalactic Gary on the Parallax Corporation, which was a very fine cooperation. Because Intergalactic Gary is a very patient man, especially for strings and sounds, and we can work very well together. This was a very good thing. We spent like a year recording this Parallax album, and in the old days it took like 2 days maybe to record an album. So the point is there's much more to it, and you can put much more of yourself in it, you know, anger, frustration, happiness, sex, whatever, and not so sterile. That's a bit the point.
So patience is a good thing for making music. And Intergalactic Gary, who is he, except for your partner in Parallax?
He's an amazing DJ. He has been around maybe even longer as I. He was always club DJ and is now also traveling abroad to do his mixes. He's one of my favorite DJs. Makes super tight mixes, has amazing knowledge of music, and is very, very good in sounds and extremely patient.
And yeah, speaking of favorite DJs, that Mixed Up in The Hague made you a favorite DJ for a lot of people. So how do you feel with like being put on a pedestal as a cult leader? You don't seem to be too comfortable with that kind of position.
No, because I'm not into. You get also pushed in a political corner this way, and I'm very allergic for politics, because this really destroys entire music scenes and things. People think too political, and that makes me a bit scared. And also being pushed in a certain corner means that, like I told you before, as in the acid days, for the Acid Planet in The Hague, we did like these non-stop sick acid mixes. It was like one big nightmare for like 2-3 years. But then suddenly, you know, it was enough, because as a radio DJ, I did much more variation in my music. Also in that time, Mixed Up in The Hague, for instance. And the problem is, like with the big record deal, you make a Space Invaders, and the label expects 3 more albums with Space Invaders. And it doesn't work like that. If I want to change style as a DJ or play other stuff than just disco or Italo, I think I need to be able to do that.
So maybe we can listen to something else you really like to play at the moment.
You're gonna request?
Any requests?
No, I got something really juicy disco. Probably one of the best disco tracks that was made. But you'll be the judge of that. And without getting nostalgic, I miss this sound. You know, fat basses, nice girls singing. And,
but you had to put a helmet on when you played it for the first time at those acid parties?
A leather helmet, yes.
A leather helmet.
No, we didn't play disco on the Acid Planet parties. Just electro, Chicago acid, the Hague acid, Unit Moebius style things. Disco was no-go then.
And you're also still running a record label, right?
Not really, but it is still existing. Yes, Fulex Records and Murder Capital Records. Last thing that came out was the Nova Man with Lies, and there is a plan for a next record, but I'm not too anxious to release records, because I think I can do way better with radio. You can make a lot more music available for a lot more people at the same time.
So that's your thing, to make music available to people?
Yes, I have an incredible drive to push music, I think, that has something in it.
And yeah, the record business these days, so you're more interested in the radio side of things?
Yeah, I'm more or less out of the record business, and to be honest, I couldn't care less about it.
Because of its economic state, or?
Also, but yeah, been there, done that. You know, I've had all the joys and troubles of it. We did everything, you know, like publishing, releasing, distributing, pressing the records, making the records, and I don't feel it no more, and I should not do it.
But you still buy records?
No.
No. So
No.
How do you get music?
I get an amazing supply every day for the radio station. From labels, from everywhere. In the strangest places I find my music. I also pick up my old records and re-edit them to make them more suit for the dance floor. Well, I sometimes buy some digital, I download stuff, and you know, I get my music anyway, but I do not buy vinyl anymore.
You don't like vinyl?
I love vinyl, but I'm also a bit annoyed by the fact that if you want to buy an old record, you got to spend at least 50 euros for it. This is bullshit. It's not meant to be like that, because music is made to be heard. People make music because they want their music to be heard, and not to end up in some obscure collection from somebody who will not play it for you. And I think that's
Raoul
silly.
is right there in the.
Yeah, but Raoul plays always these records for me, so he's okay.
But I mean, so you shouldn't have put out Mixed Up in The Hague, you know? Then all these people wouldn't want to spend. So.
I never saw that coming. I never saw that coming.
And another thing that is a bit controversial is all this kind of re-edit culture that came along with it. So maybe you can share your thoughts about that with us.
Well, I think that I play a lot with CDs lately, and I can be way more creative as a DJ with CDs because I can at home make my own edits and my own breaks and do whatever I want and play it within minutes on a dance floor or on the radio. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I meant more in like making such an edit and pressing it up and selling it.
Yeah, that's bootlegging, and I'm not really in favor of that. You gotta take care of the artist.
Yeah, because I mean, there were a lot of bootlegs also of that Mixed Up in The Hague tracks then.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. And you can't control it. So,
No, that's out of my league.
How does it make you feel then? Like.
No, I don't feel anything with it. I just think you should pay the artist if you release a record. I re-released Robot Systematic from the Electric Workers, and I just asked, like, guys, can I do this? And you get the mechanical royalties. And how happy they were with the re-release, not the money, because it's like maybe €300 what you make, or not even. But it's so much recognition for the artist, you know, that somebody has shows interest in the things they did, because they are already past music. I don't know what they do nowadays, but not music. And it's such an acknowledgement for the artist that like 20 years later somebody wants to re-release your record or remix it or whatever. This is the good thing to do.
So you think it's also a matter of respect to these artists?
Yes, of course. Yes.
And not only a money thing. Oh, and what are mechanical royalties for those people who might have never
Mechanical royalties is the amount you pay to the GEMA's, the STEMRA's, the CI's. When you press a record at a legal pressing plant, you pay like 90 euro cents, which goes directly to the artist per pressed copy. And I think that's a good thing. And
do you have something current, something new? You mentioned Omar S., Theo Parrish.
No, I think I forgot all my new stuff because I only play in Spain this week, and they like to hear the old stuff. No, I didn't bring anything new, but I got something recent from. I want to play you the Lies from the Nova Men. This is why I reactivated Vulex last year to release that record. I think it's amazing. Yes.
So you won't manufacture a CD or a
If you want a CD, it can be manufactured and then you pay for the CD. But if you want to burn your own CD, you can do that.
But I meant with your new stuff, you will only put it online. There will be no physical product.
There will always be a record because I'm romantic enough to make a vinyl pressing. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, what do you think? How should be the method then that an artist get paid for like his kind of online sales? It's just such a
give away the MP3s for free, and if you want the audio files, you pay a small fee.
For the WAV file, then you mean for the bigger file? Okay. But this also gets me back to like internet radio in this day and age where everything seems to be available on demand, you know, with instant gratification and stuff. Do you think people still have the patience to actually listen to a radio?
Yeah, if you add value to it by live transmissions and special shows from third parties, people will definitely listen. That's my experience with CBS. Always when there was live action or a special show, we had wave specialists and space specialists, and there's always a good amount of people listening to it. And also train spotters, of course. You always discover new tracks from other people.
And why do you think that kind of sound is especially so popular in the Netherlands, like with your peers and a label like Clone and all these things?
Well, I don't understand the question.
Like that kind of new breed electro Italo thing. Why there are so many people, especially in the Netherlands, producing this music?
That is a good question. I don't know. Maybe it's a good scene because it's an old scene. We are together for a long time, ever since the early 90s, and slowly more and more people got involved. Really great producers like Alden Tyrell, DJ Overdose, Mr. Pauli, and so on and so on. And the thing we always did is supporting each other with advice or machines or whatever. And also the distribution was close at hand, is close at hand. Clone Records in Rotterdam is selling all our stuff. It's very easy to communicate with each other, and everybody is pretty straight up about things.
So you would recommend like having a collective instead of being a lonely soldier?
No, you can always be alone. There is plenty of outlets for the Lone Rangers. But collectives, never heard. If everybody is his own boss, you know, everybody has total freedom in what he or she does. I think that will work fine. There shouldn't be too many rules and too many politics, and you'll survive.
And what I also aimed at was like with labels like Ramshorn in the Netherlands. You know, there was always this kind of love for.
Yeah, Ramshorn was like really shabby because this organization just put out records from other people without telling them.
So maybe has anyone ever heard of Ramshorn records? Maybe you could.
It's better. Let's keep it that way.
But they had a nice sleeve design at least.
Really, it sucked, I think.
I love it. Do you have something that they exploited?
Say again?
Do you have a track that Ramshorn exploited?
Now, basically, if you hear an old disco track, Ramshorn exploited it. But I want to play you some real electro that really inspired me all the time. I'm sure you know it. It's Michael Johnson, who did the Johnson Crew back in 1982.
Lots of cheese. In the Netherlands. So maybe we should open it up for a few questions from the audience.
All right.
Wait for the microphone, please.
Okay.
Then you first.
I was wondering if, I'm Felipe from Peru.
Hi.
I was wondering if you can tell us the lyrics for Space Invaders.
Space invaders from outer space. Space invaders, they'll take your place. Space invaders, they'll kick your ass. Space invaders are smoking grass. I really thought everybody knew those by now. That's cool.
Hi. I just want to say thank you for coming and thanks for the lecture. It was really great. I must say, I think I appreciate techno music even more now because I must say when I came to Barcelona, I think my first gig, they were playing techno music at the club. When I walked in, I was like, I really don't know what's going on here. You know, like it was really crazy. It was really hectic.
Where was it?
I think it was on one of the big clubs, I think called Theater or something, City Hall Theater. Yeah, I think one of the guys from the academy, I think it was you. You were playing, I'm not sure. Yeah. You was playing techno. I didn't really understand it, but now I think I understand it more. I understand what you guys feel when you make techno music. Yeah.
Well, I think there is nothing to understand about music. You must feel it here, and it doesn't really matter what it is. But for me, it's like you gotta feel it.
Yeah.
And I have this often with heavy bass lines, melodious disco, hand drums, you know, this thing. I can't really describe it because.
Yeah, it's a funny feeling. Also in my music too. Some people don't really understand it, But as I usually have a deep feeling through it. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Questions? No questions.
Just give him the microphone, please.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, I have two questions. One is, what does IF stand for, if it stands for anything, or what does it mean?
Interference.
Okay, cool. That's one. And the other question is, how does one, a DJ that plays hardcore techno tracks in squats suddenly fall in love with one of the cheesiest genres of all time? I mean, I love it, but it's
the other way around, basically, because I come from the mid 80s, early 80s, that I got interested in music, and that was like disco, electro, Italo, and all that stuff. And later, because of the Chicago days, Armando and DJ Pierre, I thought those guys were like heroes, you know, with the 303 and a 707, make such incredible grooves, you know, and that's basically was my first instruments, the 707 and the 303, and I just started renting out tracks and stuff, and this clashed with the bunker guys, the meeting, and this is how it all happened. So I described this earlier as that I have been away in like a crazy trip for 2-3 years, like with this acid and techno thing. And then like I landed again, and
so it was from cheesiness to hardcore and back
to cheesiness.
So do you think there's some sort of like a thread that connects them? Like do they have anything in common, or was it really like for you two different experiences?
No, they have in common that there is, for instance, the instruments. The 303 was also used in like more experimental, but still danceable Italian records from 83, 84. It's a really old instrument, and it was as a bass line, it was a huge failure. It was meant to be a bass line, and that didn't quite work. And then the future stuff, future acid tracks came, and that opened up a whole new thing. But the 303 was already... Alexander Robotnik, he was like big with the 303. He's one of the few who actually could program it. This instrument has always been around, so I think there is a connection. And the Chicago connection, the Chicago guys, the first time I visited Chicago, I found out more or less the missing link, because this Italo stuff was huge there, and this inspired most of the Chicago guys also to do what they started doing, but only more stripped and in their Chicago way. Alex Novaga, a producer from around Rimini, he was basically the first guy who actually made house. He released a record called Drums, and it was just like a 707 and I believe also an 808 kick. It is a bit of a boring record, but I found out this was huge in Chicago, and this is how Jesse Saunders also got his idea for On and On, the repetitive, stripped, funky stuff. So there is definitely a connection, yes.
Thank you.
You have some of those tracks with you? From either Future,
No,
Drums?
No.
So you have to download it.
Yeah.
I'll YouTube it.
yeah, same thing. You can find basically anything online. That is a fact. And I think that's a good thing. The record industry shouldn't be complaining about that. No, I didn't bring Chicago stuff. Sorry.
No problem. I think they're not complaining about that. They're only complaining that they won't earn any money with it, right?
Yeah, well, you know, just become DJ or something. That's where the money is. And for bands, it is performing. I hate to be the one to tell you, but this is the days now. The record is promotion for what you do, or same as a mix CD. All producers are basically also DJs or perform live with their laptop or whatever setup. And this is how you're gonna make money.
So you should feel as comfortable on a stage as you are in your home studio environment then these days, if you want to make a living?
I actually feel very comfortable on a stage DJing and not sitting on a couch talking. This is not my thing. But nevertheless, I love to DJ, really. And although every DJ has experience that totally suck, I still, you can wake me up for it. This is what I am, this is what I do. I'm more a DJ than a producer, it turned out. Because, like I told you, I have this unstoppable drive to play music. And sometimes it turns out that you are like, well, within 5 minutes in an empty room playing for yourself. That happens. It comes with the job.
But you still have to sit a bit on this agonizing couch. There is another question,
okay.
Right?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
So, yeah, you played Michael Johnson, and I guess some people have had some airplay on CBS, like Arabian Prince and Egyptian Lover, who you could call like early West Coast hip-hop in a way. And, you know, I know Jeroen from Creme.org is also quite into Public Enemy. I was wondering if you would have ever described yourself as like a hip-hop fan, and are you feeling it now?
I didn't hear the last part you were saying. I didn't hear the question.
Would you ever have described yourself as a hip-hop fan, and is there anything you're feeling these days?
If I'm a hip-hop fan? Not really, but for me that comes with the electro category. I love the old school hip-hop, MC Shan, Schoolie D, Mentronics, from the old days. Later it became, for me, a bit product, but I'm not gonna say that I don't like hip-hop, because I still hear some good tracks every now and then, yes, but I'm not a fan, if that answers your question.
Ferenc, here, your old pal. Bunker, Atlantic Wall.
Yes.
What's this fascination with World War II and the whole aesthetic, let's say, that these labels display?
The bunker philosophy is, Guy Tavares is the owner and boss of Bunker, so I will not talk too much for him, but I can tell you something about his philosophy. He's a major freak for bunkers and the Atlantic Wall, and we are very proud. We were always very proud that we were part of this Atlantic Wall in The Hague. And our dream thing was always to have like our own bunker where we could produce our music and make noise and walk out, and there you are on the beach. This is this fascination with with bunkers and World War II, and there is to it. And Bunker uses the old Panzerkreuz from the Germans, and the philosophy behind that is that it's like very clear. Very hard and no bullshit, and that's the bunker thing, like concrete and no shit.
But I think also The Hague has a special relationship with bunkers, and because of its historical background.
Yeah, it was part of the Atlantic Wall, and during the war, The Hague was the headquarters. The Germans had the headquarters in The Hague, and they loved it there. And well, it is a beautiful city. Yeah. I think that is the fascination, basically. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
But right. It's not political related.
No, politics is bullshit. But the government is in The Hague, so The Hague is a very political city. But we really like to avoid it, because then you get this scary political correctness, which goes against my idea of freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Any more questions? There goes the CD 12-inch.
Hello. Do you think that maybe Fisher Spooner were the ones that make like the Space Invaders 2, Space Invaders 3,
That is a probability, yeah, could be. But that was in '97, and then this I call it the second electro wave came up. Anyway, there was the adult and Le Car, Ectomorph from Detroit. There was Electronome. There was IF. There was like at the same moment, basically, there was like almost a movement coming up, and this just happened. But yeah, Fisher Spooner, I think, came later.
Yeah, the hacker maybe.
The hacker, but that was also 97, 98. He came also in the same time with what he did. We had like large discussions about that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what he's aiming at is like that, and we try to avoid the word in the last 2 hours, like electroclash kind of stuff.
Okay, I was also blamed for that, but I really resisted against that, although, to be honest, I don't really know what the definition of electroclash is. Maybe it is Space Invaders or Smoking Grass, I don't know. But it got a bit slick, commercial, it was a bit smelly. And,
Electroclash.
Yeah. And this was not where we stood for, because, like I mentioned earlier, Space Invaders happened for me. I wanted to make a song like that. I had the idea, I wanted to use a vocoder, and I wanted to use Space Invaders, and that came out of it. And when that was done, I was satisfied. I was done with that, and yeah, cool, move on.
Thanks.
There's another one.
Hello, thanks for being here. I was wondering, who are your favorite young producers, like new, that haven't been there for many years, but released only like in the last few years?
You mean like now?
Yeah,
now. Omar S, Theo Paris.
No, but these are old. I mean, Theo is old. I mean,
well, that's still my favorites.
Yeah, but I'm asking about young people.
Okay, Roberto Ausser. He is from Rotterdam. He's extremely talented and very productive. This is a possible Vulex that comes out. I would love to carry some of his tracks. And Mr. Pauli, but he has also been around for a while, but he has he's been reborn or something. I found his music really amazing, and his live set too. And I'm not often impressed by live sets, also not even by my own live sets. I will never do that again. No, I think it's terrible.
Why?
I can express myself way more with playing records than with a live set. And I always blow up my head screaming into the microphone. I'm a bit silly when it comes to that. Yeah, shit happens.
Any more?
Hi, thanks for the lecture. Seeing that I'm from Belgium, I was wondering if the Belgian scene, there were some clubs that were pretty big, and in the 90s it was a very big club scene with the same musical genres, if it had any effect on the Dutch scene, or was it more the other way around? Were we more inspired by the Dutch scene?
You mean if, I'm not sure what club scene you talk about in
like
Belgium.
Cherry Moon, Boccaccio, it was very, the musical...
No, I think that those were that was like really on its own, because Dutch people also went to these clubs, from everywhere to be in the Boccaccio and to be in the Cherry Moon.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
I think those have been very important for Belgium, and I think it's strange that this is gone. It's totally gone.
Yeah.
There is almost nothing left there.
So did you used to go to Belgium for the clubs?
I've been once in Boccaccio, but the same night I just crashed my car and shit and went never back again. So that was like a really intense experience.
Okay, one more question. If you say you don't buy vinyl anymore, how did you get the stuff from Omar S?
How do I get the stuff from Omar S?
Yeah.
I get the digital stuff from Omar S.
Does he sell digitally?
Some stuff, but I also have contacts with Clone, who gets promos and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got stuff that nobody has.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Okay.
And he just mentioned Belgium. Was New Beat something that
No, that
at all?
is complete past me. No. There was nothing in it for me.
Any more? Are we? There's one more in the back.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, sorry, thank you very much for the lecture.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, there's between Rotterdam, The Hague and Amsterdam, they've all got their little scenes. Was there a lot of rivalry between each other, or was it very helpful? Or, I mean, how important was the Amsterdam scene, say, for you in The Hague?
The Amsterdam scene is non-existent for us. There are some producers from Amsterdam who are involved in our thing. We call our sound basically the West Coast sound of Holland. But Amsterdam is not really part of that. Only a few key figures. We work now also with the Rush Hour shop soon for Intergalactic FM. I'm very glad with that because this has always been separated. And Amsterdam is well, nice if you're 16 and want to be naughty and smoke bad joints in coffee shop and stuff. But if you want the real action and the intense club life, you got to be in Rotterdam now. For the last 3 years, Rotterdam is really booming. And also the scene there, it's not only The Hague anymore, it really expanded to Rotterdam. And that's how the West Coast scene basically got started. And some involvement from Amsterdam, but also from other parts in Holland. But Amsterdam is well, a bit dead. There is not really a club life going on. There was Club 11, which was really insane. But the other clubs, I don't know what happened, but not much going on in our field.
Okay, then let's call it a day.
All right.
And the man like IF.